Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. We're finally under 3 weeks to go until the start of the regular season. Tomorrow night, we'll be back live 8 o'clock talking Jets. 929-477-2651 is the number if you guys want to call in and talk Jets with us. A lot to talk about. I know it's been a couple days since my last video. I promise I will not mention Mike Maccagnan in this video because there's plenty of other stuff to talk about going on around the team right now. First up with the Avery Williamson injury. I give Gase credit before I rip him. I give him credit for, at the very least, holding himself accountable for the decision to have Williamson still in the game that late in the second half. He owned it. He obviously acknowledged hindsight's 2020, but if he could go back, he probably would have taken him out of series earlier. I did understand why they had him out there at the time. If you've been listening to Greg Williams and the things that he's been talking about, he wants to have players that can play at least two positions. He's acknowledged some guys are even playing three positions already. So whether it was mixing Neville Hewitt in at the mic or Williamson at the mic next to Hewitt, whatever it was that he wanted to get a look at, you understood why he had him out there. But still, game 2 of the preseason, and I said it before the last video I did, we already have some issues with depth at some positions. I don't think linebacker is one of them, though. But having some of your starters still out there at that point, I got to disagree with Gase on that one. I'm not going to completely kill him, but it was definitely a bonehead decision having Williamson still out there. But again, going back to the linebacker depth just for a second, this is why I don't think it's a terrible injury, because as things currently stood, I still think that Blake Cashman was probably going to be out there more often than not in place of Avery Williamson on obvious passing downs as well as third downs. And he's been working in with the first team on a lot of nickel packages as well. I know he's been injured right now. But even without him, Neville Hewitt, when Hewitt subbed in, when Lee got suspended last year, Hewitt arguably played better than Darren Lee, than Lee did for the first 12 games. So I think Hewitt brings a lot to the table. You also have guys like James Burgess, who had the pick six. Jamie Mosley, Anthony Wint played well, and he also had a nice game or nice practice last night in the green and white scrimmage. So I do think that they have some options at linebacker. So I'm not flipping out about the depth there. I still think, an injury like Tremaine Johnson and things like that, those are more pressing injuries where you don't really have the depth, to fill in for a number one corner. But especially with C.J. Mosley now in the middle, you have the ability to move to a 4-3, which is something I think Greg Williams is going to have to do because you have the pieces to do it, so it just makes sense. You have Quinnen Williams, you have Leo, you have Henry Anderson. You want those three guys on the field as much as possible. You also have Steve McClendon, who you can rotate in. You have Jordan Jenkins, who you can put on the end in a 4-3. You have Brandon Copeland and Frankie Louvu, who you can rotate in. That Poole's going to be out there more often than not, as a third corner, covering the slot. So I think they have a lot of pieces where this could work if, they want to play a four-man front. So I think that's going to just, ultimately come down to Greg Williams and, what he sees as, right fits. Also, Bronson Kafusi, forgot about him. He's been having a great camp. He's been showing it in the preseason as well. Great motor. I've compared him to Henry Anderson a little bit. They have the same size, same body type, same kind of motor. So, pay attention to those guys. I think the front seven has a lot of depth, and that's the only reason I'm not going crazy about the Williamson injury. So shifting off of that for a second, I got to talk about Le'Veon Bell just for a minute. It was really cool last night, and me and Tyson, we were at the green and white scrimmage, and it was really cool last night watching him interact with the fans, and not just last night, but this has been a theme throughout all of camp. The way he interacts with the fans, the way he's embracing New York, the things he's saying, the things he's doing, being a team-first guy. You see he's in phenomenal shape. There was one point during special teams drills, he was just running back and forth, doing, hurricanes across the field while everyone else was just kind of like walking through whatever drills they were doing. You can see he's ready to go, which is why I'm not worried about Gase's decision to hold him out the entire preseason. You can work him in week 1 and week 2 where he's still getting into the flow of game speed, but you can afford to do that because you have other backs. You have Bilal Powell. You have Ty Montgomery. And Montgomery, I keep saying in every video, Montgomery is going to see the field plenty this year. He is jacked. Me and Ty, we were watching it last night. The guy is absolutely shredded when you're looking at him up close. He's a versatile dude who you can move outside as a receiver. And then you also combine, what they have at tight end, once, especially once Herndon gets back, but even before Herndon gets back, you're seeing guys like Ryan Griffin step up. Even Daniel Brown, he's getting in there a little bit, but I think Trayvon Wesco is going to be the big piece, versatile guy who moves around a lot. So I think they have the weapons on offense. So I'm not concerned about having Le'Veon Bell ready to get 30 touches week 1, because that's not necessary. I want him healthy week 1 and ready to go. He's not going to need 30 touches. He's not going to be 100%, ready to take 30 shots. It's just not realistic. And there's no reason to risk taking him, getting him those hits in preseason. So ease him back in. I'm completely fine with it. I trust that he's taking care of his body and he's going to be in game shape and just ready to go. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing that I wanted to mention is our boy Sam Darnold. And it seems redundant at this point, but I'm going to keep talking about him anyway because it's so rare that as a Jet fan, and again, I'm 31 years old, I've never had a quarterback that I've been able to talk about this way. We all love Chad Pennington, but he didn't really have the arm, couldn't really stay healthy. There were questions about him. We all love Sanchez, but, he was pretty much carried by a great offensive line and a great defense to those 2 championship games. Give him all the credit in the world for the way he played in the playoffs, those 4 road playoff wins, but, he was pretty much carried there, and then we saw what happened after. So in my lifetime, I haven't had a quarterback to be this excited about like Sam Darnold, ever. And every day that I watch him, he does something different to just make you go, holy shit. Like, this guy is legit. And I'm not even just talking about being like a good, top 15 quarterback. I truly, honestly believe this, and I said it on Twitter. I think within 2 to 3 years, we're going to be talking about Sam Darnold being a top 5, possibly even like a top 3, right there with, Mahomes and whoever else. Maybe Andrew Luck, if he stays healthy. He's going to be that type of quarterback that every year the Jets are in the playoffs, because even if you have some injuries, even if you have some holes, you have a guy that's consistently going to be putting up elite franchise quarterback numbers. And I truly believe that is how good Sam Darnold is. You watch him in the pocket, you watch him the way he moves, every throw on the field he can make, and he gets it between the ears. Gase is going to bring a lot out of him. He finally has the weapons now. We think he finally has the offensive line now. Everyone's talking about how much he's matured, going from year 1 to year 2. Without McCown, he's taking control of the offense. There's just so much you see from him that gets you so excited about what could be if all the pieces just stay healthy and they mesh the right way with Gase. And that's the key. Coaching is the biggest thing, because we've seen with Belichick and Brady, like, they can move pieces in and out, and that offense doesn't skip a beat. They produce. When you have a franchise quarterback and you have the right system in place, the right head coach, the right play caller, when you have those 2 things in place, you can make things work. And even more so when you have guys like Le'Veon Bell and Crowder, who's going to do his thing in the slot, and Robbie, who just continues to shine, and Quincy, who looked great last night in the green and white scrimmage. So there's so many reasons to be excited about this offense, and Sam Darnold is the key reason for it. So I can't wait to keep watching him. I hope that for the 3rd game, they do give him the whole first half, but it's just a lot of running plays. There's no reason to, have him dropping back 15 to 20 times. He's shown us already in back-to-back preseason games. He's come out just throwing absolute missiles. Let him keep doing his thing, but let him stay healthy. Don't risk anything. Osemele and Winters, they're not going to be playing. Let him hand it off a couple times, make a few quick throws, get him out of there. Let's get ready for week 1. I'm fired up, guys. Less than 3 weeks to go. Talk to you guys tomorrow night. Go Jets.